All right, finna go ahead and get rocking. What's good, everybody? Welcome back to the Life of a Champ podcast. Hold up, man. Let me make sure it's not delayed, man. If it's delayed, if it looks delayed on your end, I'll go ahead and restart it, but hopefully it's not, right? All right. So, yeah, welcome back to the Life of a Champ podcast, episode number 93, talking about an interesting topic today. Who influences your life, right? This is a very, very important question that I feel like not enough people ask. And that's kind of part of the reason why I wanted to make this podcast, specifically because of that reason. And yeah, give me 1 second. Yeah, I want to say a few things real quick. Make sure you go ahead and follow me on TikTok. Just Life of a Champ podcast on TikTok, as well as make sure you go ahead and leave a like on my YouTube Shorts as well. I'm posting roughly 20 a week, so make sure you stay tuned in for that. If you can't catch a full podcast, make sure you go ahead and tap in with the shorts. And if you still want to watch something longer than the shorts, I'm also posting videos that are around 8 to 10 minutes long. And I'll be posting one for sure tomorrow. So if you do want to tap in with that, tap in with that when I do go ahead and release that video. But other than that, like I said, the question of the day is who influences your life, right? And the real reason why I feel the need to even make this podcast is because you must understand this very, very thoroughly, right? That most people do not they don't understand that most influences in your life are going to be bad ones for sure. They're going to be bad ones in some type of way, in some type of influence. Most of them are going to be negative, right? And now it's navigating through that, um, and being very, very conscious and recognizing specifically which ones are not holding you, or rather holding you back, right? And yeah, that is what I want to go ahead and start it with. And yeah, like I said, if you guys have any other points that you would like to make in the comments that you would like me to read, make sure you go ahead and leave in the comments for sure. But yeah, looks like we got GDP in here, and we got KJ in here. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. All right. Also, if you're on Twitch, make sure you go ahead and leave a follow. Also, if you have any comments, I'll be checking that for sure as well. Give me 1 second. All right. All right. So with this specific topic, there's a few things I do want you to go ahead and focus on, right? One of the questions you need to ask yourself is what are your top 5 and top 10 influences within your life, right? So this can be people in your day-to-day life, like family or friends, or this could be things like um, I want to say people you look up to. I feel like that's something that's so interesting that I've thought about recently. But like, let's just say public figures that have reasonable suggestibility of why you would actually want to go ahead and um, have that person be an influence in your life, right? So whether this is like I said, a public figure or somebody within your day to day life, recognize who's your top 5 and top 10 specifically. And one thing I also want you to do is like I said, just be very, very clear and conscious of who you would like to choose to you would let to influence your life, because this is very, very important. This is going to change the trajectory of your life. This is going to change the trajectory of your life completely, right? Just based off of the people that you allow to influence you. So, like I had mentioned, this can be a public figure as well, right? So this could be somebody on social media, um, and they do have influence whether you would like to believe it or not, right? I'll get into that a little bit more later, but be very conscious of the people you choose, and with that as well, right? With this top 10 or top 5 people who you choose to influence your life, I want you to be observing specifically, observe specifically the commonalities between each of these people, right? Hopefully, there's going to be some common patterns of why you would like to, um, have that person influence you. So specifically, like I said, observe the commonalities, and more importantly, I want you to observe the differences as well, right? The differences are very, very important because they're all going to be everybody's going to be different. They're going to influence you in a specific way. Like for example, right, I'll give you one of the examples that I have within my life, right? So I'll give you two people that I would say influence my life to an extent, or I allow them to influence my life to an extent, right? Well, first person is going to be Big Sean, and if you know me in my personal life, you'll know I'll talk about this all the time. But the reason he influences me positively, which is a great thing, is because he allows me to cultivate a more undefeated mindset, right? And the way he does that is by giving me music, which music can make you feel a bunch of different things, which like I mentioned on a previous podcast, if you're listening to music and you don't feel anything, quite frankly, you're listening to the wrong type of music. But yeah, I learn and I constantly remind myself of undefeated mindsets, which is very, very important when it comes to living life, in my opinion, right? You should only be saying, thinking, and believing things that are going to be within your best interest of your life. And if you're not doing that, then quite frankly, you're not, in my opinion, living life the best way you possibly can. So with that being said, that is a person that I choose to let influence me. Another person is going to be, let's just say Devin Booker, for example, right? He's my favorite basketball player. The reason why I let him choose to influence me is because we have a lot of things in common. He obviously plays for my favorite sports team. A lot of people, for whatever reason, I'm going to say this. I ain't gassing myself up. I've had plenty of people say this, right? We look similar. That's what they say, right? Also, he's the same nationality as, or what I would deem to be nationality, or whatever you'd like to call that, as me as well. And on top of that, he's for the people. He's truly for the people, and I admire that truly within his character. And like I said, not a lot of people are truly like that, or they're truly about the culture um, of the people that is in their common influence, I guess. So yeah, that is going to be a reason why I choose or allow him to have some type of influence in my life for sure. So like I said, observe the commonalities between these people, and more importantly, observe the differences of why you individually select these people to be an influence in your life, right? And one thing I want to mention as well. Yes, these should all be positive people in your life, right? And if you have any negative influences or semi perceived negative influences, you must remove those because that is the logical thing to do, right? Now, it might not be the easiest thing to do, but I would hope that it's going to be a decision that you make eventually, for sure. Shout out to Hazel, appreciate for stopping by as well. Champ influenced my life. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. But yeah, that's how I want to go ahead and start the podcast. Like I said, if you have any specific comments regarding influence or your observations within influence, whether it's people that you observe or people that you're influenced by, make sure to go ahead and leave in the comments for sure. All right. And I heard this one specific thing. I will say this because I feel like this was very, very important. And it's something that I heard a few months ago, and I don't know who exactly originally said this, but it was one of the most, I would say, profound things that I've heard in a minute. Right? There's this saying. Let me see if I can get it right. There's this saying that I've heard within the self development community for probably about roughly, I mean, how long has it been? Maybe like 3 or 4 years. It says something along the lines of this, right? You are the byproduct, or you're the, what do they say? You're the result of the five people you spend the most time with, right? Something along the lines of that. If you heard anything relatively similar to that, that is exactly what I mean within this point, right? And Hamza, I don't know if you guys know who that YouTuber is, but he's my favorite YouTuber. He mentioned something that, like I said, was very, very profound. He said that is no longer what it is really, right? It is going to be, and this is the internet and the development of the internet that is responsible for this. It is now, you are the influence, or you are the result of the five people's content who you consume the most of, right? And that is definitely very, very important, because if you're consuming the correct content and you're surrounding yourself with the best possible people, your life is going to be on an upward trajectory, which is very, very important within this life for sure. So, with that being said, observe that. I know poorly explained it, but observe that very, very thoroughly, and understand that your environment's going to play a huge factor within this as well, right? And that is part of who you allow to be in your circle of influence or your environment. And I feel like a lot of people consume things on social media, right? And they deny the reality that is, them being influenced, right? They'll say, yeah, I just watch it, but I'm not really, it doesn't really do anything. It really doesn't do anything for me. It doesn't do anything to me, right? It doesn't influence me. And that could not be farther from the truth, because that is your own perceived environment, right? And you are the person that is in control. Specifically, when it comes to your phone, you are more specifically a controller of that environment, right? I feel like I cannot honestly understand people who have a negative environment when it comes to things that are on their phone, um, because you should be conscious enough to edit those things out, right? And I don't want to get into a long tangent on that, but basically understand that you're in control more than what you think. Also, with that being said, there's some social media aspects that you're truly not in control of, that you can just be a victim to, and whatever influence pops in through there is going to be what influences you. But yeah, there's certain things you can control, so make sure you go ahead and control those things and be very, very conscious with that for sure. All right, and another thing I want to mention within the environment, things like that, kind of leading back to the social media aspect, right? You need to understand this very, very thoroughly. We are all consciously or unconsciously influenced by the bullshit that society feeds us in terms of content, right? Um, like I said, you're gonna have some type of control to an extent, but for the most part, you must understand that, like I said, whether this is a conscious thought or unconscious thought, you're being influenced in some type of way, right? Whether this is for the positive or for the negative, you are being influenced, right? And like I said, the best way to avoid the negative influences is to edit them out of your life. And more importantly, I want to mention this as well. You must begin to understand certain narratives or certain media outlets that are not going to be, you know, relevant to your life realistically, right? There's a lot of media outlets that exist right now that report on a lot of different things, and quite frankly, they do nothing for you, right? They, if anything, they don't do anything positive for you. They might do something negative for you, but they definitely do not do anything positive, besides letting you know something that's truly not relevant to your entire existence, right? So I'd recommend some type of influence detox or reevaluation of the people you follow, because they could potentially be holding you back. So, like I said, evaluate more specifically the media outlets. There's a bunch of them nowadays that I can't even name them. So this goes beyond the news. This goes beyond like TMZ and things like that. This is there's so many pages that I see on Instagram that do this same type of thing, right? They, let's just say something happens within, I don't know, a certain world event, right? They'll post on it, and like I said, quite frankly, consuming that content doesn't do anything for you. Doesn't really do anything for you at all. Um, and yeah, and the way I truly observe this, and I have mentioned this on a few podcasts, and this is also a habit that I have re-implemented back this year. Um, and this is something that I will always recommend. Shout out to KJ. I'm pretty sure he implemented this, or at least temporarily implemented this at the very least, which is great. This is going to be, you won't understand this until you actually do something like this, right? So when it comes to what influences you and your thoughts, right, and your patterns of behavior and things like that, one of the biggest mistakes people can make when it comes to waking up is going on your phone, because now, like I mentioned on previous podcasts, your thoughts are no longer yours, right? They are nothing more than super influenced thoughts that you have later in the day, right? There's certain things that you will see, you might not even think about it, and you might have a thought later on in the day, and you won't even be you won't consciously remember that it is from the certain things that you consumed early on in the morning, but truly that's what it was from, right? And yeah, I strongly advise for you to try this. At least, give it a shot at least one day. Go as long as you possibly can without going on your phone, and allow those organic thoughts to come naturally. Because quite frankly, with social media and everything like that, truly we do not have any. I wouldn't say any, but we don't have many as we should. Just rather thoughts that are super organic and that are truly yours. So that just goes to show you the level of influence that, doing a little thing that most people never second guess. That is a crazy impact that people, like I said, don't even truly understand. With that being said, like I said, if there's any specific comments you have regarding influence, make sure go ahead and leave them in the comments for sure. I also wanted to get into this point later on. I'm not going to get into this just yet. But with that being said, when it comes to your influences, observe specifically what social media app you use the most, and I want you to go ahead and let me know down in the comments. I seen GDP already did it as well. Um, I want you to let me know some of the positive influences that you consume, like whose content do you consume that you would deem to be a worthy influence within your life, right? Yeah, so I'll be giving you some of mine that I perceived through YouTubers, because that's pretty much what I mainly consume. I mainly consume things that are on YouTube, so I'll let you know some of mine as well at the very end. So, like I said, I want to know specifically your guys's influences for sure, because everybody's is going to be different, and I just like to see the diversity of answers for sure. All right, give me one second. Yeah, also I hope it's not delayed, man. I hope it's not delayed, man. That'd be tragic. All right. All right. Yes. So yeah, I'm gonna reiterate this point, because this needs to be reiterized for sure. Being what I want to say this. But yeah, begin to recognize and reject certain outlets of information that you deem to be useless for your life, right? Like I said, I need to say this again because quite frankly, I see too many people observing a lot of things and having thoughts that, like I said, aren't theirs, right? And it doesn't do anything for your life, right? I really can't stress that enough, and I just find it a little goofy that people still have and people still do those things, even though they know they consciously know that it doesn't do anything for them and it doesn't affect their life at all, but they choose to let it still have some type of influence within their life. And like I said, I truly find that ridiculous to an extent. Yeah, I want to reiterate this as well, right? I'd recommend an influence detox. So like, yeah, go through your following, go through all the people you follow, right? Whether this is, or subscribe to, right? And begin to get rid of the things that you know aren't serving you the best. Begin to do that slowly. Now, I'm not suggesting doing this all at once, obviously, because that potentially can take up a lot of time. But I would suggest doing this when you do have the free time and you want to cultivate a better environment for yourself. Let's just say that, right? If you want to cultivate a better environment for yourself, that is going to be a good way to start for sure. I'd also recommend doing this with people in your life as well. At the very least, giving them less attention if they truly do not deserve your attention, right? Um, yeah, yeah. So yeah, that is a podcast for today, right? Who influences your life, right? Be very very conscious of this. I say that a lot. I say that that you should be conscious of a lot of different things, right? But truly, if you are more conscious of this, it is guaranteed to be the result of a better life because of that, like for sure. Like, and this is something that obviously you're only going to be able to experience in due time, something that you can't really see the impact that it has in such a short amount of time. But in the long scale, this is something that you do. If you do it in the long scale, you will see the result. You will see the positive. You will see the positive result, and you will also begin to realize something that I realized very very early on, which is understanding that the people, just observing the people around you, right, and seeing the things that they do and the patterns of behavior that they have based off of the influences that they have in their life, whether this is positive or negative. You'll begin to now detach yourself from those certain things that you find with that are commonalities between you and those people, right? So similar types of content that you consume. You can now begin to detach yourself and say, hey, I see my friend consuming this content, right? Even though it's really not doing anything for them, and they probably shouldn't do that. So I'm personally not going to do that myself, right? That is something that I've done time and time again, because, like I said, it just doesn't do anything. It doesn't do anything for you. Yeah, I want to say there's very, very few things that truly affect your life. There's very few things that exist right now within this world that truly affect your life. Of course, there's the societal structure and things like that. Of course, there's things like that. But when it comes to just the influx of information that we have, which we haven't had in human history as much as we have today, a lot of it, and I would say most of it, truly do not affect your life and doesn't deserve your time, attention, or focus. That's for sure. But yeah, we still give it. You see people still giving it their time, attention, and focus on the daily, even though, like I said, it has nothing to do with them at all. And yeah, I would say, like I mentioned, right? It's an influx of information, right? We have the most information that we've ever had in human history. I said that before, but that is what it is, right? Now, the people who would do the best in this life when it comes to having that influx of information is being able to differentiate what is going to be beneficial to your life and what is going to be worth getting rid of for sure, right? There's going to be a huge difference within people. Let's just say 10 years from now when it comes to utilizing the resources that they have, which is like I mentioned, the abundance of information, right? If you're able to curate the best possible outcomes for you and your life through the things that you're influenced by, life's going to be very very different than what it could have been. That's for sure. So yeah. Yeah, the comments ain't active today, so it's all good, man. All right. Give me 1 second. Yeah, I'll get into this. I'll get into this, right? And I want to make a separate podcast on this, specifically my favorite YouTubers, but this is gonna be nearly the same list. So, all right. So I'm going to give you some YouTube channels or people that I observe within social media that truly, in what my opinion, could give you and have given me a positive view or a positive influence for sure. All right, give me 1 second. What did I do? Okay. So these people are going to be first one. I already mentioned him, my favorite YouTuber. And if you are a male, or if you're somebody who truly wants to better their life, which you watching this, you should realistically tap into his content. His name's Hamza. He's on YouTube. He's a person who blew up crazy last year, and he's at nearly 1.5 million subscribers. And yeah, that is a person that if you want to extract a lot of information in a lot of different areas of life, almost relatively similar to mine, similar content, I would definitely recommend his channel for sure. Also, another person that doesn't get enough credit, but definitely needs to be mentioned, is this guy. His name is David Hammond, but his channel is called Self Developed, and yeah, it's basically the first one of the first channels that I seen. Let's just say 5 years, yeah, 5 years ago now, which is kind of crazy to say. Um, that really was focused on self improvement specifically. So if you're a person who's interested in self improvement, like you should be if you're watching this, yeah, he's definitely going to be a person that I would recommend. He talks on similar topics that I do. He also talks about a lot of different things that I do not and choose not to rather. But yeah, if you're interested in that, and more specifically with his channel, if you are a person who is religious, I would definitely recommend his channel for sure. All right, another person who got a lot of he's gonna be worth mentioning because his story is not always exactly properly described, but a person who influenced me for the positive, in my opinion, right when it comes to just acquiring knowledge. This person is going to be Iman Gaji, right? If you do not know his channel, I would recommend you looking it up. I would very, very thoroughly influence you to hopefully check out that channel because that channel is fantastic and it talks more like a business minded things and how to make money and how to network and how to do those certain things. But yeah, I would definitely recommend his channel for sure. Like I said, another person one of the few people that I would truly let influence me, not only in my personal life but also within my within just observing them on social media and things like that, right? That is definitely a person that I would recommend for sure for anyone because he's a person who he believes in a lot of things that I believe in, and yeah, for sure. All right, the next person is going to be, or rather, people. This is going to be a podcast. I have a few podcasts that I enjoy listening to, but quite frankly, there's too many. So I just give you one of them. Same thing, focus on self development as well. Like I said, a positive impact and a positive influence within your life or potential positive influence within your life. This is going to be the roommates. Um, yeah, they definitely helped me out a lot. And now I'm not somebody who watches them too much nowadays because I'm trying to do my own thing. But yeah, they're definitely people that I would recommend, and give you a different lens as well for sure. Next person is I don't know how to pronounce his last name, so I'm not going to try it. This guy his name is Sebastian, or they just call him Seb with two B's. Um, he's on YouTube as well. Definitely would recommend subscribing to his channel. He makes very, very similar content that Iman Gaji makes. They're also friends. And yeah, there's a podcast that they made that I would definitely recommend. If you like similar content like this, I would definitely recommend that podcast for sure. And like I mentioned, these are all going to be people or influencers that had a positive impact within my life, or like I said, a positive influence within my life. So if you're a person who is looking for more content creators that kind of make similar content that I do, I would definitely recommend these for sure. Now, the next one is a person that a lot of people do not know and is a person who slept on in the very, very near future. More people are going to know him for sure. His name is Luke Belmar. He's a person that, man, there's so many different topics that he talks about that are what I would deem to be a little controversial, and but it is much needed within the society right now for sure. So, yeah, it's happened with that man for sure. Also, two more people that I want to mention, right? This is going to be Courtney Ryan. She's a person who also is like a men's development type channel, but it's you get the message from a girl, so you get a different point of view. Definitely highly recommend her channel. She's somebody that I have that who has recognized me in some of the videos that I have made, so that was pretty cool. She has, I think, about I want to say nearly 500,000 subscribers, if I'm not mistaken. And also the last one, which is going to be How to Beast, right? This is a guy, he has a little bit over 1 million subscribers, and another person who makes very, very entertaining content. Um, yeah, now like I said, I would definitely recommend him for sure as well. All right. Let me read some of the comments. Champion influenced my life for real to take a path from broken to a fixed and ongoing path. Yes, I know, Iman, and you have put me on to that. Yes, yeah, no problem, man. No problem, man. Another person who influenced me is Jordan Peterson for speech development, LeBron James for basketball, and the roommates for self. Yeah, yeah, for sure, yeah. Those are all good guys right there. and the Diary of a CEO podcast for business and the Huberman. Yep. Those are all some good people right there, KJ. Appreciate for sharing that for sure. Yeah. Also, Jordan Peterson is not somebody that I wouldn't say that I didn't think to mention him, but truly, um, which his book is literally like right here, right, the 12 Rules for Life. Um, yeah, that is also another person that I would definitely highly recommend you consuming some of his content because he is a person who has spent 40 years thinking about a lot of different topics, right? So he's also a very, very intelligent person. So if you care to hear somebody's opinion that is thoroughly thought out and whose speech is better than mine and somebody I aspire to be like when it comes to their speech, that is going to be a person that I would recommend for sure. Yeah, there's right now there's a lot of great people who put out a lot of good content. But with that being said, there's also way more people who just post bullshit. Quite frankly, right? Truly, just entertaining content that have no substance to it. And if you're a person who likes just consuming entertaining content, that's one thing, right? That's completely fine, right? Do that at whatever floats your boat. But if you want to live the best life you possibly can, you must mix in some more educational content. That's just what it comes down to, right? For me personally, right, that was something that felt so forced at first. Watching content that like literally wanted the best for my own life, and then it eventually became what I like, pretty much what I only consume for the most part. So, if you're a person who's just starting out, trying to listen to content like this, those are going to be some of the people that I would recommend to listen to. And yeah, like I said, you must as you grow up and as you become a man or become a woman, right? You must learn to adjust some of the content that you consume and honestly, truly try to consume with intention because a lot of people do not. They just consume to waste time. But you need to consume it intentionally and you will live a better life. Trust me, you will live a better life for sure. There are many people out there, yeah, for sure, every day and fuel me. Yeah, okay. Yeah, exactly, for sure. Champ obviously influenced me in teaching men's fashion for self development and fashion advice as well. Yeah, I've heard him. I've heard of him for sure. I've watched some of his content. I'm pretty sure he had a podcast with roommates, if I'm not mistaken. I watched some of that as well. Yeah, he's pretty cool. He's pretty cool. Not somebody I watch personally, but I know of his channel for sure. But yeah, hopefully we gave you guys some people that are worth listening to. Also, um, like I said, people who are going to having a positive impact within your life for sure, or a positive influence rather. All right. We got a few people watching. Appreciate you guys for stopping by. Make sure you go ahead and leave a comment just like it's used in here. Also, if there's anything you specifically want me to mention when it comes to, trying to have the best influences for your life possible, make sure you go ahead and leave in the comments. But I'm going to reiterate some points that I've already made for the new people who haven't yet seen what I talked about earlier. All right. The first thing with making this podcast entirely, right? Like I said, the title of the podcast is Who Influences Your Life, right? The reason why I wanted to make this is because I see a lot of people being misguided nowadays. Truly being misguided. And um, you must understand that most influences within your life are going to be ones that are not in favor of you living the best life you possibly can. Most of them are going to be negative influences. So you must you must consciously think about and choose specifically content that's going to be better for your life, right? That only makes sense. And the fact that I even have to say that sounds a little goofy, and it does sound like common sense, right? But as you guys know thoroughly, right, common sense is obviously not that common. So you must, like I said, curate the best things that are worth consuming, truly, not just things that are going to be that are going to give you just a quick laugh and that's it, right? You need some more substance in your life than just a quick laugh, right? Now, I'm not saying quick laughs aren't needed. Of course, they're occasionally needed, but for the most part, you need to be consciously consuming things that are going to be better for you, right? That's just my own paradigm of life. If you don't agree with that, perfectly fine. Like I said, go ahead and consume whatever content you would like, but don't complain with the result of your life, man. That's all I have to say. All right, another thing that I want to mention as well is a question you need to ask to yourself, right? Ask yourself this question: who are your top 5 or even top 10 influences that truly influence your life, right? So now this could be people who are within your immediate life, right? So friends, family, coworkers, whatever, right? Um, or it could be those people. It could be people that are on the internet who are, media personalities. Those are also going to be influences. And I would also say people downplay the importance that some of those people can provide, right? But it's truly the new way of the world. And like I mentioned, that's why you need to be very very strategic in the content that you definitely consume, because those people, along with the people who are actually in your life, they definitely can change the result of your life for sure, right? And I would even say, yeah, I would even say there's people that have affected my life more than people that are in my life right now, that are in my life, right? That definitely influenced me a lot more positively than any person in my life really could have, right? And that is because I'm a person who, like I said, consciously is as a person who selects content that is going to be best for my life, right? All right. The next thing I want to mention as well is with those 5 to 10 people that you came up with for a list, or right, or that you can really think off the top of your dome. Observe the commonalities between these people, right? And they should have some type of commonality between those. Um, and if they don't, I'd actually be honestly surprised, because you should have some type of niche, whether people know it or not. Most people do have a type of niche that they do enjoy consuming type of contents from. So observe the commonality between those people, and also try to be that best version of those people as well. Try to be that best version of them. That positive influence that is in your life, that you observe that person is, that person has on you, right? Try to be that for other people, right? That is something that I'm going to recommend for sure. And also with observing the commonalities, also observe the obvious differences that do exist, right? They're going to do things that are going to be great, and they're going to do it differently, right? And they're also just going to do different things in general, right? With that being said, you want to also take what those people do that's different. You want to take those things and also implement them within your life as well, right? Try to be those certain personalities. Try to be that influence for other people, because people are going to need it for sure. All right. A few more things. If you're rewatching this and you like the content, make sure you go and leave a like. Also, if you disagree with anything that I have to say, also make sure you go and leave it in the comments as well. All right. All right. The next thing I want to talk about is this right here, right? This is something that I kind of referred to a little bit earlier, but I do want to mention it again because it definitely needs to be mentioned again, right? Understand that there's this saying that exists that has been in the world for years now, right? This is something along the lines of you are the result, or you are the byproduct, or you are the something, you are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with, right? Now that is true to an extent, right? I'm not going to say that it definitely has no validity behind it. It definitely has validity behind that for sure. But this YouTuber Hamza said, and I don't know where he got this from. Maybe he came up with it himself, or maybe he got it from somewhere else. But he said it is no longer that completely. Obviously, that is definitely going to be a factor, anyways, because it is a part of your environment. But more specifically, that you are the byproduct or result, or whatever you would like to say, of the 5 people's content that you consume the most of, right? So yeah, like I said, with that being said, make sure you're not watching no bullshit, man. Let's keep it 1,000, right? Make sure you're not watching no bullshit, man. Or at least not all the time, man. At least not all the time. Because, like I said, if you want to live an average life, perfectly fine. Consume whatever you would like, right? Because it's not hard to be average. It's truly not hard to be average. So if you do want to be average, consume whatever content you would like. If you want to live an above average life, then you're gonna have to consume above average content. So it's as simple as that. It only makes sense. It only makes sense. All right. And then with that being said as well, understand thoroughly that your environment has such a large influence on you, right? And your environment consists of a lot of different things. Like I mentioned, this is going to be the people that you surround yourself with. This is going to be the um, the content you consume. More importantly, right? This is going to be a thing that has never been within society at all, right? Within humans for sure, is understanding that the things that are on your phone are going to influence your life for sure, and are going to be able to change the result of your life for sure. That is something that has never been within society at all, and now it is something that is definitely very very relevant nowadays for sure. So with that being said, you must understand the undeniable impact that it will have on not only your life, but now not only your life and the experiences that you have within your life, but also the decisions that you choose to make. Right? You might unconsciously make certain decisions based off of the content that you consume. Right? You might not even recognize it. This is something that I kind of relate with books as well. And I don't know if you guys ever personally read books, but what I will say though with being a person who reads books is there's a lot of things that I have got that have been a part of my influence, right? That I didn't recognize that I needed until much later in life, where I seen how that lesson from a book applied to real life, and then I obviously implemented that because, quite frankly, it seemed necessary. So understand that social media is going to have that same aspect, that same impact on your life as well, right? There's going to be certain content that you consume, and it's going to alter some of the decisions that you will make in your life. Whether you make a decision or not make the decision is going to be based off of potentially the content that you consume. So that is why you need to be, and I say this, need to be very, very conscious of the content that you consume because it is a part of your environment now, right? Along with all the people as well. All right. Understand as well, and I've heard a lot of people being in denial of this. This is why I need to mention this point again. Understand that whether you like to believe it or not, we are all consciously or unconsciously influenced by all the bullshit that society has for us, for sure. And yeah, like I had mentioned, right, most of it is bullshit, quite frankly, right? That's just me being 1,000% honest, right? So with that being said, you must eliminate the negative. You must eliminate the irrelevant things to your life. So this is gonna be one thing that I'm gonna recommend for you, right? And here's the thing. I don't care if I get criticism for this because, quite frankly, if you understand, then you understand it, and if you don't, then quite frankly, you don't, right? But this is going to be removing things like the news, right? Quite frankly, do you need the news? Look at me in the face right now. Do you need the news? Yes or no? All right then. Exactly. You know you don't need it. You know you don't need it, man. It is a new. The news is a thing of the past. If you don't understand the amount of influence that it's had and the amount of negative influence, more specifically, that it's had within the last, let's just say, 3 years, right? 3 or 4 years, right? If you don't understand the negative influence that it's had on people's perceptions and also changing the reality that people exist in, like I said, then you're living with the blindfold on, fellas. And if you're a person who wants to live with the blindfold off, just recognize that you can't believe everything. You can't believe everything you're told, fellas. You can't believe everything you're told. I've been saying that the last few podcasts because, man, it's more relevant than ever. That's for damn sure. So yeah, understand that we are all consciously or unconsciously influenced by the bullshit that society feeds us. So that is why you must get rid of certain media outlets that truly have nothing to do with your life and will have no impact on your life. So it is honestly useless to consume and spend your time, attention, and focus on something that has very, very little to do with your life, if not, or rather, nothing to do with your life at all. Exactly, for sure, for sure. Nah, we don't need the news. You are the news. Exactly. The news is different for everybody nowadays, right? The way you get information nowadays is different than it's ever been, right? There's no longer a need to have just a few um people who tell you the news, right? There's, like I said, I mentioned this earlier, right? There's plenty of different things and different people that are going to provide you with the news, right? And the news should be what you want to hear, truly, not what you could care less for. And like I said, people just hear the news and just hear the news. I don't understand it. I don't understand it, quite frankly. All right, the next thing, and one of the last points that I will make on today's podcast is going to be doing a influence detox. So this is going through your following and making sure that you are truly following the people that you want to follow, and you're also getting rid of the people who maybe you've outgrown. Right? There's going to be a lot of people within social media that you truly have outgrown, whose content you no longer have interest in. So you must get rid of those because, quite frankly, it should not be taking any space up in your head and in your thoughts and in your influence. So you must get rid of those because, quite frankly, they need to be get rid of. They eventually needed to be getting rid of anyways. So make sure you get rid of those for sure. Like I said, it also is a very, very time consuming process. So you want to make sure you go ahead and do that when you do have the time for that, for sure. With that being said, I'll run down who I would recommend for you guys to be influenced by when it comes to YouTubers, because quite frankly, I am a YouTuber, and there's also a lot of people who've made a positive impact within my life. And I'll just go ahead and run down the names one more time. You can go ahead and search this on your free time if you would like, and if you don't, that's completely fine. I'm just going to give you some people that I would recommend for sure. So these people are going to be YouTube channels like Hamza, YouTube channel called Self Developed. Also, this one influencer, his name is Iman Gaji. Recommend his channel for sure. Also, the roommates, Sebastian. I don't know his name. They just call him Seb. They just call him Seb. So tap it with his stuff for sure. Also, this guy named Luke Belmar, a person who's up and coming, and who's giving the correct content that people should be consuming for sure. Also with that, Courtney Ryan as well as How to Beast. These are going to be people that I've personally had a positive impact in my life, and who definitely influenced me for the best of my knowledge for sure. With that being said, I appreciate everyone for stopping by. If you're a new person who's watching this, make sure you go ahead and leave a like, as well as go ahead and subscribe to the channel. If you're watching this on Twitch, make sure you also go ahead and leave a follow as well if you did enjoy today's content. I'll be going live every Tuesday and Thursday at 7 o'clock or 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, around that time typically. Also, that being said, make sure you go ahead and leave me a follow on TikTok as well. It's just Life of a Champ Podcast on TikTok. I post videos every single week, so if you want to see the podcast in short form and only the golden nuggets from those, make sure you go ahead and tap in with that for sure. Also, another thing I want to mention with the TikToks as well. If you don't have TikTok or could care less for TikTok, make sure you go ahead and leave a like on my YouTube Shorts as well, because I post roughly the same amount that I do for TikTok as well. So tap in with that for sure. Other than that, fellas, like I said, I'll leave the comments. If you guys have any more specific comments, make sure you go ahead and leave in the comments before I go ahead and end it off. But KJ, I appreciate you for stopping by, man. Holding it down as always, man. Carrying the chat as always, man. I appreciate you. Also, GDP, appreciate you for stopping by. Hazel, appreciate you for stopping by as well. All right. Yeah, but I'm going to go ahead and end off here in a minute. Yeah, so you must ask the question, right? Who do you allow to influence your life? Ask yourself that question. One of the most important questions that you can honestly ask yourself. And that answer is going to say a lot about you, a lot more than you think, a lot more than you would think. It's going to say a tremendous amount about you, and how you choose to spend your free time, more importantly, right? How you choose to spend your waking attention. Very, very important, fellas. Very, very important. Yeah, GDP, holding it down as always, man. Holding it down as always. Also, a few more things I want to mention as well. I'll be doing a live stream probably this weekend. I don't know what specific day. Probably be Sunday, I think so. So make sure you tap in with that for sure. I'll let you guys know for sure. If you do follow me on social media, I'll be posting about that for sure. Other than that, yeah, the next podcast is going to be on Tuesday. So tap in with that for sure. Episode number 94, the Life of a Champ podcast. And what else do I got to say? Yeah, I think I said everything. I needed. Also, if there's a specific recommendation you have for this channel, make sure you go ahead and leave it in the comments as well. I definitely appreciate people's recommendations. Also, if there's things that I could do better, make sure you go ahead and leave in the comments as well. But yeah, I'll go ahead and end it off here in about 3 minutes. So I'll give you guys a chance to go ahead and comment something for sure. All right. Yeah, I can't emphasize that enough, man. I read a book called Atomic Habits that I've referenced on here a few times now, and it just goes to show you more specifically how your environment is going to affect you, right? And like I said, our environment is now expanded. It is expanded beyond the people that we know, right? It's expanded. It's extended bigger than the news that we consume, right? We are more conscious and more capable than ever, and we can be more selective than we ever can or could have been, rather. So that is why you must be one of those people who strategically live life, right? Strategically choose the content who's going to influence you in the best way that it possibly can. So tap in with that for sure. Other than that, fellas, like I said, I appreciate everyone stopping by. If you got some value from this, make sure you go ahead and leave a like. Other than that, this was the Life of a Champ podcast, episode number 93, talking about who you choose to influence your life. And I'll go ahead and end it off with the motto, fellas. Y'all know the motto, man. Make sure you go ahead and leave it in the comments. Leave it in the comments right now before I go ahead and say it, man. The podcast motto is this right here. Fellas out here, man, we don't just work, man. We outwork. So make sure y'all working these motherfuckers every single day, man. Simple as that, man. Like I said, outwork. It's either work or outwork. So simple as that, right? Simple decision, you outwork. Simple. Like I said, tap in on, like I said, hopefully Sunday. I think Sunday I'm going to do the next live stream. Tap in with that for sure. We're just going to be chopping it up and listening to some music. So if you enjoy music and want me to listen to a specific song or something like that, make sure you go tap in with that. Other than that, you guys have a good rest of your night. And like I said, tap in on Tuesday as well for the next podcast. Appreciate it.